The Vexillari mothership cast a shadow across Manhattan that extinguished the midday sun. Commander Ixora Drell watched through cold, compound eyes as primitive aircraft, pathetic metal birds, scrambled to intercept. With a casual gesture across her neural interface, she dispatched the squadron of human fighters. 27 explosions blossomed against the azure sky. Humans were such amusing creatures. "Resistance continues to decrease, Commander," reported Lieutenant Nyxus, his carapace gleaming under the bridge lights. "Their global communications network is 89% compromised." Ixora's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. "Military suppression?" Proceeding as predicted. Their nuclear capabilities were neutralized in the first hour. Ground forces are reporting minimal casualties. The humans lack even basic phase shields. 3 solar cycles. That's all it had taken to bring humanity to its knees. The Vexillari. Dominion had conquered 17 species across 3 galaxies, but never had subjugation been so effortless. These humans, with their primitive projectile weapons and fragile bodies, were barely worth classification as sentient. "Begin the harvesting," Ixora commanded. "I want processing centers established on every continent by local nightfall." The Dominion needed labor, billions of bodies to mine the toxic hellscape of Craxus 9, to staff the antimatter refineries of the Cygnus Arm, to serve as test subjects for the Metamorphosis Division. Earth's 8 billion inhabitants would serve the Empire well. Admiral Vaxus, the most decorated military mind in Vexillari history, materialized on the command deck, his hologram flickering slightly. "Commander Drell, the Sovereignty is pleased with your efficiency. The humans will make excellent slaves. Their physical resilience is surprisingly adequate, and their neural pathways are compatible with our compliance implants." Ixora bowed her head. "The invasion proceeds according to schedule, Admiral." "There is one curiosity," Vaxus continued, mandibles twitching. "Our scientific division has detected unusual energy signatures from their research facilities. Nothing significant but worthy of investigation before complete infrastructure dismantling." Ixora scoffed. "These creatures only achieved spaceflight within their last century. They're barely beyond combustion technology." "Nevertheless, Commander, investigate." The hologram disappeared. Ixora dispatched specialized units to the humans' top research institutions. They were hardly worth the resources, but orders were orders. Dr. Ilarakai watched the alien ships descend upon the Princeton Quantum Research Institute with surprising calm. Around her, colleagues screamed, prayed, or frantically destroyed data. Ilara simply continued typing, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. "Dr. Kai, they're coming!" her assistant Rasmus shouted, terror etched across his face. "We have to run!" "Running is pointless," Ilara replied, not looking up from her work. "And besides, I'm almost finished." Finished with what? What could possibly matter now? Ilara's lips curved into a smile that contained neither warmth nor humor. "Insurance." She pressed her palm against the quantum scanner, and deep beneath the facility, something awakened. As the Vexillari shock troops breached the laboratory doors with plasma cutters, Ilara transmitted a single encrypted packet through channels the aliens hadn't yet discovered. The last message she sent before alien restraints clamped around her. Wrists was simple. "Cronus protocol initiated. Distribution complete." Lieutenant Nyxus would later report that this human female showed no fear during processing. Unlike the others, she didn't beg or struggle when the compliance implant was drilled into her cerebral cortex. Instead, she smiled, a peculiar expression that, had Nyxus been more familiar with human emotions, he might have recognized as dangerous anticipation. The invasion was complete within a week. Earth's militaries lay shattered, its governments toppled, its population being sorted into labor categories based on physical capabilities. The Vexillari Empire had added another trophy to its collection, yet in underground bunkers, abandoned mines, and subterranean research facilities across the globe, something stirred. The quantum entanglement network Alara had activated continued to spread, connecting dormant systems that had been prepared for this very contingency. The humans had lost the war, but what the Vexillari didn't understand was that humanity had been expecting them. Not these specific invaders, but some cosmic threat. And they had been preparing quietly and without fanfare for generations. Exora Drell stood on the observation platform overlooking Processing Center Alpha, formerly known as Chicago. Below her, endless rows of humans shuffled through implantation. Procedures, their eyes vacant, their futures as expendable assets of the Dominion assured. 3 months into the occupation, and already 50 million humans had been processed and shipped off-world. Magnificent efficiency, remarked Counselor Mivox, who had arrived from the Vexillari homeworld to inspect the conquest. His exoskeleton bore the prestigious azure markings of the Inner Circle, the elite ruling caste. Thank you, Counselor. Earth has exceeded production quotas by 17%, Exora responded, her carapace puffing slightly with pride. And the anomalous energy readings? Exora's antennae flattened against her skull. Investigated and dismissed. Merely fluctuations in their primitive fission reactors. Nothing of consequence. Good. Mivox's compound eyes reflected the sea of humans below. The Sovereignty is particularly pleased with the neural compatibility of this species. Their minds accept our compliance technology with minimal rejection. Some specimens even show potential for advanced integration. In the processing line, Rasmus Voigt kept his eyes down as the guards passed. The implant at the base of his skull throbbed, not with the mind-numbing control it was supposed to exert, but with the countermeasure Alara had developed. Before the invasion, she had injected select colleagues with programmable nanites designed to mimic the effects of compliance while preserving consciousness. Rasmus had spent weeks pretending to be a mindless drone, all while gathering intelligence. He had been reassigned to Processing Center Alpha as a maintenance worker, which granted him access to the Vexillari computer terminals. Each night, he transmitted data packets through the quantum network Alara had established. Tonight would be different. Tonight was implementation phase 1. In a high-security chamber 17 levels below the processing center, Dr. Alara Kai also waited. The Vexillari had discovered her exceptional intellect during processing and, rather than shipping her off-world, had assigned her to their research division. They believed her implant ensured absolute loyalty. They were wrong. Subject 7293 analyzed these computational models, ordered her Vexillari supervisor, Scientist Zivex. The alien pushed a datapad toward her. Yes, Overseer, Alara replied, in the flat tone expected of compliant humans. The data concerned declining efficiency in neural implants. Subtle irregularities had begun appearing in human behavior patterns across multiple processing centers. Some implants were failing entirely, though the humans had learned to feign compliance. The Vexillari suspected a manufacturing defect. Alara knew better. Her nanites were replicating, spreading from human to human through microscopic skin contact. A digital rebellion, transmitted through sweat and touch. As midnight approached, Rasmus accessed the environmental control system, supposedly performing routine maintenance. With a precisely timed sequence of commands, he initiated the atmospheric disruption protocol. Throughout the facility, ventilation systems began dispersing Alara's specially engineered compound, harmless to humans, but designed to interfere with Vexillari respiratory functions. Simultaneously, in 17 other major processing centers, worldwide similar protocols activated. The Cronus network had been silently coordinating for weeks, positioning assets, preparing for this synchronized assault. In her laboratory, Alara watched the clock. When the moment came, she simply pressed, her palm against her workstation and whispered, "Prometheus, awaken." The lights flickered throughout the facility. In the command center, Exora Drell was addressing a holographic assembly of regional commanders when the power fluctuated. "What was that?" she demanded. Lieutenant Nixus checked his console. Minor power surge, Commander. Probably these inadequate. Human power grids. His words cut off as he began gasping for breath. Around the command center, other Vexillari clutched at their breathing apparatuses. Ixora felt the first burning sensation in her spiracles. Containment breach, she choked out. Lock down all human sectors. But it was already too late. Throughout Processing Center Alpha, Vexillari guards collapsed as their respiratory systems failed. Human workers whose implants had been compromised by Ilara's nanites suddenly straightened, their eyes clear and purposeful. Rasmus met the gaze of another awakened human across the processing floor. Then another, and another. They had, been waiting for this moment, pretending compliance while the nanites did their work. Now they moved with coordinated precision, securing weapons from fallen guards, accessing control systems, freeing those humans whose implants were still functional. As alarms blared, Ilara calmly walked out of her laboratory. Scientist Zyvex lay writhing on the floor, unable to process oxygen. She knelt beside the alien. "You should have studied us more carefully," she said softly. "Humans have one quality your empire failed to account for. We don't just adapt to survive, we adapt to overcome." Across the globe, the carefully orchestrated rebellion began unfolding, revealing that humanity's apparent defeat had merely been the opening move in a much longer game. Admiral Vaxus stood motionless before the Sovereign Council, 6 pairs of compound eyes fixed upon him with collective disdain. The holographic displays surrounding the chamber showed live feeds from Earth, processing centers in flames, Vexillari garrisons under siege, transport ships commandeered by humans who had somehow broken their neural conditioning. "Explain," demanded Grand Sovereign Trizax, her voice reverberating through the chamber, "how a primitive species we subjugated 3 months ago is now systematically dismantling our occupation forces." Vaxus's mandibles clicked nervously. "The humans employed biological and technological countermeasures we failed to anticipate. They appear to have prepared defenses specifically designed to target our physiological vulnerabilities." "Impossible," interjected Counselor Kex. "Their technological development was monitored for decades. They possessed nothing that could threaten Dominion biowarfare protections." The truth was more disturbing than Vaxus dared admit. Intelligence was now suggesting that humans had detected their surveillance systems years ago and had conducted their most advanced research in shielded facilities, deliberately projecting an image of technological inferiority while developing countermeasures in secret. On Earth, the liberation of Processing Center Delta, formerly Beijing, reached its climax as Moriko Ishiguro led the final assault on the command nexus. Once a quantum physicist, now a resistance commander, she carried a weapon of her own design, a modified Vexillari pulse rifle reconfigured to exploit the resonant frequency of their exoskeletons. "Breach team ready," her second-in-command, Nikolai, reported through their secure communication implants, the very technology the Vexillari had ironically provided, now repurposed against them. "Execute," Moriko ordered. Explosive charges detonated against the reinforced doors of the command center. As the smoke cleared, Moriko's team surged forward, their weapons emitting precisely calibrated frequencies that caused the Vexillari exoskeletons to vibrate painfully, disorienting them long enough for precision shots to find the vulnerable spots between their armored plates. Regional Commander Jexil attempted to activate the facility's self-destruct sequence, but found the system unresponsive. The humans had already infiltrated their security protocols. As Moriko's team secured the command center, she approached the commander. "The quantum entanglement communicator," she demanded. "Where is it?" When Jexil refused to answer, Moriko simply smiled. "It doesn't matter. We already know." In what had once been London, Dr. Ilara Kai stood before a gathering of resistance leaders, many of whom had been transported from other liberation zones via the underground maglev network, another technology the Vexillari hadn't known existed. Phase 2 begins tonight, she announced. The Prometheus protocol has successfully infiltrated their fleet command systems. We now have access to their orbital weapon platforms. Rasmus, now bearing the scars of combat alongside his scientific credentials, pulled up a holographic display of Earth's orbit. 73% of their fleet remains in our solar system, but they've called for reinforcements. We have approximately 2 weeks before the Dominion battle groups arrive. We won't need 2 weeks, Ilara replied confidently. Colonel Matsuda, status of Operation Olympus? A stern-faced woman stepped forward. Ready. Strike teams have been deployed to all 19 excavation sites. The Vexillari still haven't realized what they're sitting on. What the aliens had mistaken for primitive military bunkers were actually access points to humanity's most classified project, a planetary defense system that had been in development for decades, hidden deep beneath the Earth's surface. In orbit, aboard the Vexillari command carrier Unyielding Dominance, Commander Exora Drell fought to maintain control as reports of ground losses multiplied. Her once immaculate carapace was cracked from a narrowly survived assassination attempt, a physical reminder of her underestimation of human resourcefulness. The backup command codes are failing, Lieutenant Nixus reported, his voice tight with strain. Weapon systems across the orbital platform network are going offline. How is this possible? Exora hissed. These humans couldn't have... Her words died as the ship's lights flickered and a human face appeared on the main view screen. Ilara Kai, looking directly into the camera with calm authority. Commander Drell, she said, in approximately 6 minutes you will lose control of your life support systems. I suggest you consider the terms of surrender I'm transmitting now. Back on Earth, as resistance forces secured more territory hourly, Moriko accessed the quantum entanglement communicator they had captured. The device established an instantaneous connection across galaxies, bypassing the limitations of light-speed communications. Through this connection, she sent a precisely crafted message directly to the Vexillari homeworld. Not a threat, but proof. Proof that humans had not only broken free of control, but had reverse-engineered Vexillari technology and improved upon it. Proof that the reinforcements they were sending would be flying into a trap. In the Sovereign Council chamber, the message played for the stunned counselors. It ended with a simple statement that sent shivers through their exoskeletons. We have decoded your biomolecular structure. We have analyzed your psychological patterns. We have mapped your empire, and we are no longer prey. 6 months after humanity's coordinated uprising, the balance of power had shifted dramatically. The orbiting Vexillari fleet, once an omnipresent reminder of alien dominance, now drifted in controlled zones, their weapons systems neutralized, their crews contained under human supervision. Aboard the former flagship Unyielding Dominance, now renamed Humanity's Resolve, Commander Exora Drell sat in what had once been her private quarters, now her prison cell. Across from her sat Ilara Kai, whose demeanor remained as calm and measured as it had been during her own captivity. You still don't understand what happened, do you? Ilara observed, studying the alien commander's body language. The subtle twitches of mandibles, the restless shifting of compound eyes. Your species possessed hidden technology, Exora replied stiffly. We underestimated your level of advancement. Ilara shook her head. No, you overestimated the importance of technology itself. Your empire conquered through superior weaponry, but you never bothered to understand the species you subjugated. She placed a small device on the table between them. It projected a holographic display of DNA strands alongside Vexillari genetic structures. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology, it's our adaptability. For centuries we fought each other, constantly innovating to survive. We speculated about alien contact and prepared for the worst, because our history taught us to expect it. Outside the viewport, Earth gleamed blue and white against the blackness of space. The planet already looked different. The massive processing centers dismantled, replaced by hybrid structures incorporating both human and repurposed Vexillari technology. The reinforcements from your homeworld will be arriving within 2 days, Ilara continued. They'll find a situation very different from what they're expecting. In the war room of the Global Defense Council, formerly the United Nations headquarters in Geneva, Moriko Ishiguro and Rasmus Voigt presented the final preparations for the incoming Vexillari battle fleet. The quantum disruption field is operational, Moriko announced to the assembled leaders. Once activated, it will prevent their ships from establishing stable faster-than-light exit vectors. They'll be forced to decelerate and approach conventionally. Field Marshal Kazimir, once Russia's top military strategist, now Earth's defense coordinator, nodded approvingly. And the repurposed orbital platforms? Rasmus manipulated the holographic display, highlighting a network of satellites. Fully operational, the Vexillari weapon systems have been reconfigured to create a defensive envelope around Earth. Additionally, we've deployed the gravity well generators recovered from their ground installations. What the humans had not revealed to their captives was the extent of their technological leap. By studying Vexillari technology, Earth scientists had advanced decades within months, combining alien principles with human innovation in ways the methodical, tradition-bound Vexillari would never have attempted. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in what had once been a classified research facility before the invasion, Nikolai supervised the final calibrations of Project Aegis, humanity's ultimate insurance policy. The massive installation housed technology that could manipulate the very fabric of space-time, creating a defensive shield capable of withstanding even the Dominion's planet-killer weapons. Power synchronization complete, reported his assistant, Priya. Quantum coherence at optimal levels. Nikolai allowed himself a moment of grim satisfaction. Begin the final sequence. When the Vexillari reinforcements arrive, I want them to understand immediately that Earth is no longer vulnerable. In orbit, aboard one of the containment vessels holding captured Vexillari officers, Admiral Vaxis received an unexpected visitor. Colonel Matsuda entered his cell, accompanied not by guards but by a delegation of human scientists. Admiral, she said without preamble, in approximately 40 hours, 5 Dominion battle groups will arrive in this system expecting to reclaim Earth and crush our resistance. Vaxis's mandibles clicked in what humans had learned was an expression of disdain. They will succeed. You cannot comprehend the firepower they bring. Colonel Matsuda smiled thinly. Perhaps, but before that happens, we want to show you something. She activated a portable projector that displayed footage from around the world, but not scenes of military preparations as Vaxis expected. Instead, he saw the dismantling of processing centers, the medical treatment of both humans and Vexillari, the careful preservation of Vexillari cultural artifacts recovered from their ships. We're not like you, Matsuda explained. Extermination is not our goal, despite what you did to us. We're offering you and your people a choice that you never gave us. As the Vexillari battle fleet approached the edge of the solar system, humanity's newly established quantum communication network carried a message to every ship simultaneously, a message accompanied by incontrovertible evidence of Earth's new defensive capabilities and an offer of terms that would have been unthinkable. In the history of the Dominion, the humans were not seeking vengeance. They were offering coexistence. Fleet Admiral Zixavora, commander of the Vexillari Liberation Armada, stood immobile on the bridge of the dreadnought Sovereign's Wrath as the impossible data streamed across her neural interface. The 5 battle groups under her command, the largest concentration of Dominion military might ever assembled for a single operation, had emerged from faster-than-light travel to find not a rebellious slave world awaiting reconquest, but a transformed solar system bristling with defenses that shouldn't exist. "Verification complete," announced her tactical officer. "The humans have indeed adapted our shield technology. Their defensive perimeter encompasses not only their planet, but extends to their moon and the fourth planet of their system." "Impossible," Zixavora hissed, her dorsal spines rigid with tension. "They've had less than a standard orbital cycle with our technology, yet the evidence was undeniable. Where Dominion military doctrine relied on overwhelming force and centuries of methodical technological refinement, the humans had taken captured Vexillari technology and radically transformed it through innovation and unconventional applications. "They're hailing us, Admiral," reported her communications officer. "On all frequencies, including our encrypted command channels." Zixvora's compound eyes narrowed. "How could they possibly—" The view screen activated without her authorization. The face that appeared belonged to Field Marshal Casimir, flanked by Ilara Kai and Commander Ixora Drell, the latter's presence on a human broadcast sending shockwaves through the bridge crew. "Fleet Admiral," Casimir began, his voice steady, "your forces are currently targeted by defensive systems that can neutralize your fleet before you enter weapons range. We have transmitted evidence of these capabilities to your command staff. We have no desire for further bloodshed, neither yours nor ours." Ixora Drell stepped forward, her carapace bearing the marks of her captivity but her posture unbowed. "Admiral, what they claim is true. I have witnessed their capabilities firsthand. They could have exterminated our occupation forces but chose restraint. On Earth, in the control center of Project Aegis, Nikolai monitored the confrontation through quantum-entangled sensors that provided real-time data despite the vast distances involved. Beside him, Moriko studied the Vexillari fleet formations. "They're maintaining combat stance," she observed. "Battle groups 3 and 4 are attempting to maneuver for flanking positions." Nikolai nodded grimly. "As expected. They won't accept reality until we demonstrate it." He opened a secure channel to Field Marshal Casimir. "Sir, request permission to activate Demonstration Protocol Theta. In the orbital negotiation chamber, where the human delegation faced the holographic projection of Admiral Zixvora, Casimir received Nikolai's message through his neural implant, another piece of repurposed Vexillari technology that humans had improved upon. "Admiral," Casimir addressed the Vexillari commander, "we understand your skepticism. Allow us to provide a demonstration." Before Zixvora could respond, Nikolai initiated the sequence. Throughout the solar system, massive gravitational distortion fields activated simultaneously. The Vexillari ships found themselves suddenly immobilized, caught in artificial gravity wells that nullified their propulsion systems without damaging the vessels themselves. On the Sovereign's wrath, alarms blared as engineering reported complete. Propulsion failure across the fleet. Weapon systems remained operational, but targeting computers showed zero probability of penetrating the Earth's defensive shield. "How is this possible?" Zixvora demanded, her composure cracking for the first time. "Our intelligence indicated nothing of these capabilities." On the view screen, Ilara stepped forward. "Because we learned from you, Admiral. Your empire has conquered through superior force for so long that you forgot the necessity of deception. Humanity has fought itself for millennia. We understand that sometimes appearing weak is the greatest strength." She gestured, and a new holographic display appeared, showing the inner workings of Project Aegis, a planetary defense system that combined Vexillari quantum principles with human theoretical physics to create something entirely new. "We could destroy your fleet right now," Ilara continued. "Instead, we're offering terms of peace, not surrender, coexistence." In the holding cells throughout Earth's orbital facilities, captured Vexillari watched the unfolding events through permitted communication channels. Unlike the humans they had enslaved, they received adequate nutrition, medical care, and dignity. This incomprehensible mercy had confused them at first. In their culture, defeated enemies were either enslaved or exterminated. Admiral Vaxis, watching from his comfortable, if secure quarters, finally understood what Colonel Matsuda had been trying to explain. The humans' restraint wasn't weakness. It was a different kind of strength, one the Dominion had never encountered in its long history of conquest. In the Vexillari homeworld's sovereign chamber, the ruling council watched with mounting horror, as Admiral Zixvora's fleet was rendered impotent without a single shot fired. Grand Sovereign Trizax, ruler of 17 conquered star systems, felt something alien to her species' psychology: doubt. "The humans are transmitting their terms directly to us," reported a subordinate. The terms appeared before the council, reasonable, measured, and utterly shocking in their clemency. The humans were not demanding reparations or subjugation. They were offering exchange of knowledge, controlled trade, and mutual defense pacts. Most disturbing of all was the addendum: detailed schematics showing that Earth had developed the capability to project their defensive technology across vast distances. If the Dominion refused peace, humanity now possessed the means to extend their protection to any world under Vexillari control, including those species currently enslaved by the Empire. "They wouldn't," whispered Counselor Kex. "They would," Counselor Mevox responded, his voice hollow, "because they are not like us. And that is precisely why they've defeated us." 1 year after the arrival of Fleet Admiral Zixvora's armada, the Sol system hosted an unprecedented gathering. The Concord Station, a massive orbital habitat constructed from repurposed Vexillari vessels and human space technology, hung at the Earth-Moon Lagrange point, housing representatives from 27 species. 17 were former slave races of the Vexillari Dominion. The remainder were independent civilizations drawn by news of the unprecedented defeat of the previously unstoppable empire. In the central chamber of the station, Dr. Ilara Kai stood before the assembled delegates, her position as Earth's diplomatic coordinator earned through both her scientific contributions to liberation and her unwavering commitment to building a new paradigm. "1 year ago today, we faced annihilation or eternal servitude," she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast hall. "Instead, we stand here discussing interstellar cooperation and the peaceful exchange of knowledge. The Vexillari delegation, led by former Admiral Vaxus, now Ambassador Vaxus, sat rigidly in their designated section. Their empire had not fallen, but it had transformed. The Sovereignty Council had been dissolved, replaced by a representative body that included members of formerly subjugated species. The transition had not been without violence. 3 former counselors had led a brief, failed coup attempt, but the majority of Vexillari society had adapted with surprising flexibility once confronted with humanity's technological leap. "The Tate Galactic Concord Treaty before you today," Ilara continued, "establishes not just peace between our worlds, but a framework for mutual advancement. No species will again be permitted to enslave another. No technology will be hoarded when it could benefit all." In the Earth delegation, Moriko Ishiguro and Rasmus Voigt sat alongside Field Marshal Casimir. They had spent months helping to integrate the best aspects of Vexillari technology with human innovation, creating hybrid systems that operated more efficiently than either could have developed independently. The treaty's technology sharing provisions will accelerate scientific advancement across all member worlds, Ilara explained. But equally important are the cultural exchange initiatives. We must understand one another if we are to build lasting peace. Commander Ixora Drell, now serving as a junior member of the Vexillari delegation, watched with complex emotions. Her captivity on Earth had transformed her understanding of humans. Where she had once seen only primitive creatures fit for servitude, she now recognized a resilient species whose greatest strength lay in their adaptability and capacity for both ruthlessness and mercy. After the formal proceedings, Ixora approached Ilara in the diplomatic reception area. The two had developed an unlikely relationship, not friendship exactly, but mutual respect, born from their unique perspectives on the conflict. Your species continues to confound prediction, Ixora remarked. The Dominion's strategic analysts believed humans would exact vengeance once you gain technological superiority. Instead, you've created this. She gestured at the diverse gathering of species, many of whom had been mortal enemies months earlier. Ilara smiled slightly. Vengeance is easy, Ambassador Drell. Building something new is harder, and far more worthwhile. In the Defense Coordination Center beneath Geneva, Nikolai oversaw the final installation of the Sentinel Network, a system of automated defense platforms positioned at strategic points throughout nearby star systems. The network's purpose was not conquest, but protection, ensuring that no species could again attempt what the Vexillari had done to Earth. Final node coming online, reported Priya, now his chief lieutenant. The network is complete. On the main display, a three-dimensional map showed the interconnected web of defenses, humanity's guarantee that freedom would be protected throughout this sector of the galaxy. The technology had been freely shared with former Vexillari slave worlds, creating a mutual defense pact unprecedented in scale. Activate quantum entanglement communication, Nikolai ordered. With that command, the entire network became linked, capable of instantaneous response to any threat, anywhere within its boundaries. On the Concord station, the signing ceremony for the treaty reached its conclusion. Representatives from 27 worlds applied their signatures or biological equivalents to the historic document. When Ambassador Vaxis pressed his appendage to the biometric scanner, formally committing the former Dominion to the treaty's terms, a ripple of murmurs spread through the assembly. No one had been certain until that moment whether the Vexillari would truly accept equal status with species they had once dominated. The significance was not lost on anyone present. As the ceremony concluded, Ilara found herself standing beside both Ixora Drell and Moriko Ishiguro, conqueror, liberator, and diplomat, united in a moment of historical significance. "What happens now?" Ixora asked quietly. Moriko's expression was solemn but hopeful. "Now we explore the stars together, rather than conquering them separately." Ilara looked out through the station's viewport at Earth shining blue and vibrant below. "Now we prove that different species can learn from their darkest moments, that invasion and resistance can give way to cooperation and growth." She turned to face both the human and the Vexillari. "A year ago, your empire came to enslave a world you deemed primitive. Today that world extends not vengeance but partnership. This is humanity's true strength, not our weapons or our technology, but our capacity to imagine a better future even in our darkest hour." In the vastness of space surrounding the station, ships from dozens of worlds maintained peaceful orbit. Former enemies now allies, former slaves now equals. And in research centers across Earth, scientists who had once developed weapons of resistance now collaborated with their counterparts from other worlds, combining diverse perspectives to solve challenges none could address alone. The invasion had nearly destroyed humanity. Instead, it had propelled Earth to the center of a new interstellar community, not through conquest as the Vexillari had attempted, but through the far more powerful forces of innovation, adaptation, and the measured application of both strength and mercy. The species that had come to enslave Earth now stood as partners in a new galactic order, their former arrogance replaced by hard-earned respect for the humans they had once deemed inferior. Respect born not just from fear of human technological prowess, but from witnessing humanity's capacity to offer peace when vengeance would have been justified. In the end, Earth had not just survived, it had transformed the galaxy.